In a town surrounded by quiet fields and a slow-moving river, there lived a young man named Ayaan. The town was not large, but it was busy in its own simple way. Every morning, shopkeepers lifted their shutters. Street vendors arranged vegetables in neat rows. The smell of fresh bread and spices floated through the air. Ayaan worked in a small grocery shop near the river bridge. From sunrise to evening, he measured rice, packed sugar, counted coins, and greeted familiar customers. But while his hands worked, his mind often wandered. He dreamed of starting his own flower business. Not something huge, not something famous, just something of his own. Every day he watched traders unload sacks of flour brought from a distant city. Shopkeepers complained quietly about rising prices and inconsistent quality. Some bags were too coarse, others spoiled quickly. Ayaan noticed everything. He always had. Yet every time the idea of starting his own small supply crossed his mind, a shadow followed it. I don't have enough money. I don't know enough. What if I lose everything? What if people laugh? So instead of acting, he waited. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Months slowly became years. Beside the grocery shop stood an old neem tree that gave shade even on the hottest afternoons. Under it often sat an elderly man named Rahim. Rahim had once been a successful trader in the city. In his younger days, he managed warehouses and supply routes. Now he lived quietly in the town, spending his time observing people and reading old notebooks filled with calculations and thoughts. He had the calm eyes of someone who had seen both profit and loss, and survived both. One evening, Rahim noticed Ayaan staring at the river. The water moved steadily, never rushing, never stopping. "You look troubled," Rahim said gently. Ayaan hesitated, then sat beside him. "I want to start something of my own," he admitted. But I am afraid." "Afraid of what?" Rahim asked. "Losing money, losing respect, failing before I even begin." Rahim bent down and picked up a small seed lying near the roots of the tree. He placed it in Ayaan's palm. "What do you see?" "A seed. And what does it need? Water, soil, time?" Rahim nodded slowly. "Does the seed wait until it feels confident? Or does it grow because someone plants it?" Ayaan had no answer. That night he could not sleep easily. The image of the seed remained in his thoughts. The next morning, while arranging goods at the shop, he paid closer attention. Several small restaurant owners came to complain about flour prices again. "It's too expensive now," one said. "And sometimes the quality is poor," another added. Ayaan felt something shift inside him. This was not a new problem. He had seen it for years, but perhaps he had been too afraid to see it clearly. That evening he returned to Rahim. "I see an opportunity," Ayaan said quietly, "but I still feel fear." Rahim stood up without speaking and went inside his small house. He returned, holding a cracked clay pot filled with water. "Take this," he said. "Carry it to the tree across the road." As Ayaan walked, water slowly leaked through the crack, leaving a thin trail behind him. By the time he reached the tree, the pot was half empty. Rahim walked behind him and pointed to the ground. Along the path where the water had fallen, small green plants were growing. "Even a cracked pot gives life," Rahim said softly. "Fear is like this crack. It does not stop you from walking. It only reminds you to move carefully." That night, something inside Ayaan became clear. He did not need a factory. He did not need investors. He needed to begin. The next week, he gathered his small savings and bought a single sack of wheat from a local farmer. He took it to a nearby mill and watched carefully as it was ground into fine flour. He tested it at home. He asked his mother to cook bread from it. The texture was soft. The taste was fresh. He packed the flour into simple brown paper bags. On each bag he wrote by hand, "Pure Town Flour, fresh and honest." The first week he sold only 5 bags. 3 customers bought out of curiosity. 2 bought because they trusted him personally. Several shopkeepers refused. "We already have a supplier," they said. Each rejection felt heavy, like a stone placed on his chest. But instead of quitting, he began to listen. One customer said the flour needed finer grinding. Another suggested better packaging so moisture would not enter. A restaurant owner recommended mixing 2 varieties of wheat for stronger texture. Ayaan wrote down every suggestion. He did not argue. He did not feel insulted. He improved. Slowly, his flour became known not for being the cheapest, but for being reliable. He reinvested every small profit back into better packaging. He printed simple labels with a small story about the town and the farmers he worked with. He partnered with 2 wheat farmers, offering them fair prices in exchange for consistent quality. Months passed. Then one afternoon, a shopkeeper from a neighboring town visited. "I've heard people asking for your flour," the man said. "Can you supply 20 bags every week?" Ayaan felt his heart race. 20 bags felt overwhelming. Fear returned, louder this time. But he remembered the seed. He remembered the cracked pot. He remembered the river that flowed without asking permission. "Yes," he replied calmly. He organized his process carefully. He scheduled grinding days. He tracked expenses. He planned delivery routes. Within a year, his small business grew enough to support not only himself, but 3 other families. One quiet evening, sitting again beneath the neem tree, Ayaan turned to Rahim. "I was waiting to feel confident before starting," he said softly. "But confidence came only after I began." Rahim smiled. "Most people stand beside the river of opportunity," he said. "They are thirsty, yet afraid to step in because they fear the current. The river does not carry those who stand still." Ayaan looked at his hands, once uncertain, once trembling, now steady. Not because fear had disappeared, but because he had learned to move with it. And in that small town, a young man who once delayed his dream became an example, not of sudden wealth, but of steady courage. Because success does not begin with money. It begins with a decision. Do not wait to feel ready. Plant the seed while your hands still shake. Confidence is not the cause of action. It is the result of it. Even a cracked heart can build something strong. And sometimes all it takes is the courage to begin.